Hi, and welcome to THUSANG Sunday. THUSANG Sunday is our family home. On Sundays, we have a sort of get together, right? So, hi, if you're tuning in. I hope you're feeling good today. This is a space where we come together, share all the real and honest feelings that come with this journey of building a home because that's what we're doing. We're building homes, we're building dreams, all while building our lives, right? So, thank you for joining me if you are here today. I'm so grateful to have you join me for the live. If you're watching the replay, welcome. This is an audio live which you can listen to while you're cooking, cleaning, or maybe driving. Yeah, that's what it is. Thanks so much for being here. Um, I just want to start off by saying that yesterday's live, oh my goodness, I can't even believe it. Just my heart is full. I'm so grateful that we spoke so much in detail about land, about ownership, about the dream of having, a piece of land where you can build your life. That was a really good life. We laughed, we learned, and we even leaned into some very real fears that we have, one of which is what this dilemma is going to be about today, right? So, this dilemma is one that has also kept me up sometimes, and it's something that kind of still crosses my mind, even though I have quite a solid plan in place, but still, it kind of crosses my mind every now and again. In one of the previous lives, I think the first one, I shared how the person who joined me actually told me that they are building in Venda. And because they are kind of at the foundation phase, they've asked themselves the question, will my savings be enough to finish the house? And that's where I also was at some point. Hi. If you've just joined the live, I'm so happy to have you here. It's only been 2 minutes, in fact, 3 minutes, so you haven't really missed anything. Just drop a hi in the comments. Let me know that you're here. I'm so happy to have you with me this Sunday. Yes, so like I just mentioned, this live, the ones that we have on Sundays, are kind of inward. We don't really talk about like the budgets and the strategies. We talk about the silent moments where you are with yourself, when no one is listening and no one is watching. But the questions you ask yourself, whether it's maybe thoughts that you have or fears that you have or troubles that you have on this journey, this community is about holding each other up and actually walking together, because we kind of live in a world where people are, you always see people sharing their wins, their lives in the form of like successes, but never really those moments where you are held and supported. So this is what this community is all about. We have La Simone. Hi, La Simone. I'm just going to send you a quick hi. Thanks for joining me for today's live. If you've just joined, I'm so happy to have you here. Yes, so he shared that he is building in Venda. He has completed the foundation stage and is currently waiting or preparing, if you will, to actually start building the walls. So if you're here, you know who you are. Very valued member of this community. I would love to have you back again on the live to kind of update us on your progress and tell us where you are. with building up the walls and that. So he's building in a village infant. So will my savings be enough is a question that I have also asked myself. Hi, Mpo. So glad you're here. Mpo just joined the live. I'm also going to drop a link in the comments in a little while. You can use that link to join me on the live, to chat with me, or even have a little discussion if you have some advice or even a thought or question for yourself. You're welcome to ask that right here. It's really a free space, right? So yesterday's live was all about how to acquire land in rural South Africa, how to go about obtaining the PTO. So if you missed that live, that's really okay. I have it up on the channel. You can watch the replay and then just, share your comments and maybe thoughts or even questions, and I'll reply to those questions if you have any. Right. Yesterday, Google shared something. I think it was Google, if I'm not mistaken. Google, if you're here, hi. She asked the question of how inheritance works in terms of rural land. Like, because you don't really own the land per se, like in the form of a title deed, how do you then pass it on to your children, right? And I may not be explaining the question just as she asked it, but it's a question I think is so important that it needs to be addressed on its own. So, Google, if you're here, I'm going to make time to fully answer that question with, good references so that you can also be comfortable in knowing what will happen if you pass on one day and perhaps you have like a home in like a rural village and you want to know how inheritance works in that case. So I'll definitely come back to you on that one. Hi, Nelisiwe. So happy to have you back here. Nelisiwe was with us yesterday on the live. She gave some valuable input. I'm so glad to have you back. Yeah, we're going inward today, Nelisiwe. We're talking about the deep stuff, the fears, right? Will my savings be enough to finish the house? So yeah, let's dive in. Let's get into it, Let's get into it. So, when I first started this savings journey, when I finally decided I would build and not buy, I thought to myself, hey, if I saved really hard for like 1 year, I would probably be ready to start building. And then, well, that was the picture that I had in my mind. It sounds simple that you could just save for like a full year, go hard, and then be ready to start building. The reality, unfortunately, is a little different. When I started running the numbers, when I started seeing the actual picture for what it is, and this is not to say that it's not possible, but it's to say that, does your budget match your floor plan? Does your budget match your vision? Does your budget match your dream? Does it match that, right? That's where I kind of had a clearer perspective of what this actually means in like real numbers. So I then asked myself, hey, so if these are the real numbers, what does this actually mean? It means that I have to come to terms with the reality that I may have to build in phases, right? I may have to take things slow, right? And that's when I came up with a strategy to build step by step, essentially, and not say that I'm going to take on this big project all at once. That's not how I looked at it when I finally ran the numbers. So This is because no one really prepares you for the real numbers. No one really prepares you for like the real roller coaster that this is. It's such a huge emotional roller coaster that it kind of keeps you up sana at night or even during the day. So yeah, that's what it is. So if you see houses going up around you, you might ask yourself like, where are people getting this money? You know, and the money that I have, will it even finish? It's really quite concerning, but it's a good concern. I think when you get to that place where you ask yourself that question, you're not crazy for feeling that way. You are starting to see the picture for what it is, right? You're not just dreaming, you're planning. Okay. Yes. So Happy just joined us. Happy, hi, so glad to have you here. You're welcome. I just recently just started the live. You haven't really missed quite a whole lot yet, I hope. But I just shared a few things about yesterday's live about acquiring land in rural South Africa. So if you want to check that out, it's up on the channel and you can kind of go back and watch the replay as well. So I'm going to drop a link in the comments, like I mentioned. If you want to come on the live, you are more than welcome to do that. I'm just going to drop the link right now and you can chat with me. We can have a chat, we can have a discussion about where we are, on this journey. I just dropped the link right now. So yesterday's live, it ran for like a whole 2 hours. My heart is full. I'm so grateful that we actually we learned so much. We actually shared incredible input and value. I'm really happy. So if you go back and watch that live, I hope you get the same from that too. So, and it seems that today I will give this live about an hour and then we can kind of wrap up. So if you want to chat with me on the live, you're welcome to do that with the link. So let's move along. Yes, so as I was saying, you're really not crazy when you start to ask yourself the question about whether your savings will be enough. And that is because, like I explained, no one really prepares you for the real numbers. No one really prepares you that the foundation is probably going to take a huge chunk of your savings. The roofing is probably going to take a huge chunk of your savings too, right? And those two stages alone are enough to have you sit down on the floor and even on the ground and be like, ha, 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 ha. What have I done? But you know what? It's good. I say do it anyway. Do it. Just start. You may not have your house fully complete, but start. It's okay, right? It's okay. Yeah. So one thing about seeing people build these really beautiful homes around us is that we see the finished product. We only see that. We only see the finished product. We don't see the years where they sacrificed quietly behind the scenes without any of us knowing, right? So when you're sitting here saving little by little every month, it's easy to feel like you're not doing enough. But in actual fact, you are. You are. Right? And you could even sometimes be scared that you'll get halfway through the project and run out of money, right? So once again, I want to affirm you that you're not crazy for feeling that way. You're actually wise. You're seeing the picture for what it is. Because when you get out of dreaming and start planning, you can then see what everything really looks like, right? This is because starting a build or building your home is not just about money. It's about strategy. It's about strategy. It's about a plan. I think that's kind of what I've learned so far, right? It's about having a plan of how to put stuff together. Yeah. So please share your sentiments in the comments about what you think is kind of the best strategy to handle this journey. What do you think could actually work well to get you to the finish line? That is it building in phases? Is it having all of the money at once? Is it just making sure that all your savings are tight? Is it building maybe a small home? What do you think could work? What do you think could work, right? So I just said that it's about strategy, right? That's what I think. At least I could be wrong, and I'm happy to be corrected. But this is a journey of learning, right? And on this journey of learning, I've learned that you don't have to do it all at once, right? First, you get the land, and then you save for the foundation, and then you save for the walls, and maybe the roof, and then after that, the finishings. So all of that is a process. All of that is a stage. All of that is a journey that you have to travel through. Unless you probably have like thousands of rands, then you wouldn't need to do that. You would simply get a construction company and they would simply do the whole project in 6 to 8 weeks, and in you would move in. Then you'd move into your home and life would go on. But that is not my reality, unfortunately, you know. And I don't know if that is your reality, but building in stages is the approach that I'm taking, right? So if you just joined the live, I dropped a link in the comments. You can use that link to join me right here on the live, okay? Yes, so the reason I believe in building in stages is because I have a personal story of how building in stages actually ends up working out. You know, it's not all bad. You don't have to finish on time or even give yourself a particular amount of time to finish the project, because sometimes it can give you quite a lot of stress to think if the savings that you have will be enough. The personal story I have is of my family home that stood for 10 full years without a roof. Okay? 10 full years. All the while, life went on. All the while, life went on. By life went on, I mean kids go to school, you go to work, you save for retirement, you save for maybe higher education, but life went on. You know, life went on. Even for those 10 years, it may have looked to the outside world that it was kind of like a failure, that this home idutsi for 10 plus years, for 10 years or so without being completed. But today it's fully complete. You know what I mean? So that then says that building in stages is not a bad thing. Happy says we would like to see visuals, but I like your approach. Visuals of the live. This is an audio live, Happy. So as you go about your day, maybe you're folding laundry or driving, you are not missing out on anything. You can simply just continue to listen as you go about your day, essentially, right? So, yeah, so this is kind of the system. Mohai, la ekaya, we do audio lives, you know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, but you're happy to I'm happy for you to join me even on the live still. I happy to have a chat. Okay. All right. So yes, so the home stood for 10 full years without a roof. That's a personal lived experience I have about building in phases. It hasn't been easy, but it's something that is possible. Today, I actually received a comment from someone who asked me if I was actually joking about 100,000 rand being enough to build a home, and and I was like, okay, no, I actually wasn't joking. But in the whole video where I shared the estimates that I got, I shared that the lowest estimate was around 150 plus thousand rand, and the highest one is around 220 something thousand rand. So this is because, you know, we have this mindset that it takes like hundreds of thousands of rands to actually start building a home. And I kind of had to tell myself that it's possible regardless, unless you're building like a huge home that would require you to spend thousands of rands up front. And by thousands, I mean hundreds of thousands. I understand. But for most people, we're kind of looking to build reasonably sized homes. And the whole purpose of me sharing my journey is to show you what my reasonable sized home would cost, right? And for you to see if you also building or looking to build a reasonably sized home, to see that it's also possible to build a reasonably sized home with a reasonable amount of savings and not necessarily 500,000 rand or a million rand in your bank account. That is what it is. And the reason for that is I decided from the beginning that I do not want to get into any form of debt to make this dream a reality. I don't want to incur a debt. I don't want to take out a loan of any kind to build my house. You know, so if you're asking yourself the same questions, you're welcome to follow this journey with me to actually see the outcome step by step, right? Step by step. So for you, it may be that you are only starting to save, and for another, it may be that they are already at the foundation stage. This is a community for all of us as future home builders to kind of settle in and support each other, regardless of where we are on the journey, right? Regardless of where we are on the journey. So I just want to say that one thing that I've started doing to help myself relax a bit more while thinking about building, not just in stages, but what has helped me is not to think of doing the whole thing at once, right? So it's not I must have 500,000 rand tomorrow. No, it's step by step, like I explained. So I chose not to get land first, but rather save. And somebody may choose to get land first and then save for the foundation and save for the walls and save for the roofing, which I fully respect as well. So all of those stages are winning, all of them. They're good. Do you know what I mean? So because if you look at the whole journey at once, you'll scare yourself into paralysis and you'll probably not be able to move forward thinking that, hey, what if my savings actually don't get me to the finish line? Glad you're stuck and you're thinking, okay, it might not have been possible. Let me just abandon this whole thing. Yeah. So somebody once told me that, you know, a finished 2-room house will make you feel really proud, even though you are still going on the journey where you will still add other rooms. But once you have a little bit piece of your floor plan built and up, you'll still feel proud. So regardless of that fact that you haven't really completed the house, you will still feel proud. So just start, okay? Don't even think that you are wrong to think that you couldn't finish. You will. Someday you will. Just like our family home ended up being fully complete after 10 years without a roof, you will also finish once you start. So there's nothing wrong with starting small, nothing wrong with starting with two bedrooms and a kitchen. And then next year, maybe adding another room, and then maybe adding a veranda. You know, there's nothing wrong. Build your life into your home, build it into your home step by step, you know, build it into your home step by step, right? So perhaps you might think that I really need something more here, Sadie. Like, what can you give me? Come on, I need something more to actually ease the anxiety that I feel that I might not actually finish this home. So if you want to protect yourself against that fear of being stuck halfway, maybe these are some of the things that you could do. For instance, you could open a second account, right? A second 32 days notice account, or maybe fixed account, just for for building, say, just in case prices change and prices increase, because we know as we are saving, things are also going up. They are not waiting for us to start building, right? But also another thing I just want to encourage you is don't rush to start. Delay if you must delay, and kind of let your savings stay where they are. If you haven't like put together a solid plan of what it is that you want to build, or maybe you haven't even identified where you want to build that house or even have a floor plan, don't rush to start. Don't even feel like you have to rush. Don't rush to start. Take your time with this kind of thing, right? I also have experience where you buy key materials upfront if you can, right? That would be maybe you buy cement. It depends if you have land. You buy cement and you buy bricks and you buy roof sheets, but not really timber, because timber is kind of, yeah, it's a risk. Right, rather you buy timber when you're ready to actually put the roof up. Yeah. Okay. I have someone who would like to join me on the live. I'm not sure if I've just lost them, but could you just request again and I'll add you? You can request again and I'll just add you to the live. Yes, so don't rush to start, right? Delay if you must. If there are certain things that you aren't quite sure of yet, wait, make sure that you have it all kind of figured out, at least to some degree, than just rushing. Um, because honestly, I think that's where the pitfalls can be when you rush. I was saying yesterday that I'm kind of not in that big of a rush to actually just buy land from somebody offering it on Facebook Marketplace. It may look beautiful, but it's not worth it because there are so many problems that could arise from something like that. And you may feel the excitement of wanting to build, or maybe other circumstances push you to want to move out of the area that you are in, out of the home that you currently live in, to finally start building. But it's very important not to rush. It's very important not to rush. Rather, do it step by step, do it slowly, do it intentionally, do it carefully. So if you can, buy materials up front. be it bricks and roof sheets. Maybe you saw a special right now and you have a place to store maybe bricks and roof sheets. By store, I mean on the place that, right at the place that you're going to build, because moving bricks is expensive. Okay. So if you have a place to put them, it's great, right? So I always see specials on bricks, and I always feel like I could buy them, but I also know that bricks are very expensive to move. So I can't just make that call and buy those bricks, even though I have those savings in my account. I'll just have to let the special pass me until I'm in a position where I can buy the bricks and use them at that time to save on costs. So Cindy Swa just joined us. Hi, Cindy Swa. And Rishabile as well, who was here yesterday. Hi, Rishabile. So happy to have you back. She says, I have now started saving in that account that has an EFT attached because I'm scared of running out of funds. Also, I actually want to finish once I start. I would rather wait and save enough before I start. Perfect. Okay. That makes absolute sense. That makes absolute sense. To kind of have your ducks all in a row first before you actually start. I think that maybe helps ease your worry and concern about it, as opposed to maybe building in phases, because some of my friends who've built homes, when they get to the stage where they're like they're stuck, you'll hear them say, hey, ke stuckile, hey, but ke tlo tsoga." And I'm like, that's good. Yes, it's true. O tlo tsoga. You're not going to be stuck forever. So I also uh, understand where Rishibile is coming from with not wanting to get to a place of feeling stuck, right? But it's also important to protect those savings, Rishibile, right? And not get to a place where as much as you're saving for your home or saving to build your home, hey, this life happens in ways that we can't even explain. I'm speaking from the position of a parent, and kids are expensive. And sometimes it may feel easier to kind of dip into that 32-day savings account and just take a little bit of that money and use it for, another thing that has come up, right? Maybe it's school fees in January, which is kind of a little stressor that we have as parents. So it's really understandable, that approach. I love it. I'd love to actually get to a place where I can say that I want to save enough before I start. The only issue is that I feel worried that I might use that money. You know, yeah, I might something might come up. Hey, to intercept my plan, which is why I love the cash bill card so much. Like, you can't get the money out. It doesn't matter. I can't use it for anything other than building materials. It makes me feel so secure to use that card and actually save in it, because as much as I don't earn interest from it, but I also know that I can't get anything from cash bill other than building materials. And it makes me so happy. So happy. You know, it makes me so happy that even when life happens, if it does, that is, and I pray to God that we are all able to make these dreams come true while we live and build our lives without anything really interrupting us along the way, you know? Yeah. So how are you also saving? If you're happy to share, happy. If you are currently on the journey of saving, you could also kind of, share as well, where you are on the journey of saving, right? So yeah, on my previous point, buying materials upfront if you can, right? That would be helpful. And then the other thing is, when you are finally ready to build, and this goes not just for you but also for me, this is this is just a recommendation I'm giving you, but a recommendation I'm also giving myself based on recommendations that I've also been given, right? So I will share what I have been shared, what someone else has also shared with me, is to get multiple quotes before committing to any builder. Get multiple quotes. Like by multiple, I mean at least three. Yeah, at least three. And at least three from people who you have seen with your own eyes actually build whatever home in whatever area, right? So in these days, actually, builders travel around areas. So if you want to know that somebody's work is good, or this is somebody you can actually hire, it would be good to actually see them doing the work firsthand and not just hearing from them say, this is the house that I built. I built a house X place, Y place, and you know, A. Because sometimes people can actually lie, and we're not in a position, I'll speak for myself, where I can actually, unfortunately, take a risk with the savings that I am putting together. As I'm still asking myself if there'll be enough, I can't take the risk and put them in somebody's hands who I'm not sure will even, I'm not sure will actually even value what I have worked so hard to save. So it's very important to get those quotes, be very careful with your approach, you know? Marisha Wile just sent in a comment, I'm also just a mom. I get it. That's my little thing. I always say that I'm just a mom, you know. You know how people always say I'm just a girl? I'm just a mom. That's it. Yeah. Yeah. I'm glad you get it, you know. Yeah, I'm glad you get it. I'm glad you get it. You know where I'm coming from, right? So we have to be careful with these savings that we are working so hard to put away. I can't even begin to explain to you the amount of sacrifice that actually goes into saving. The comments that I receive, the emails that I get, people are telling me how much they, especially recently with the past two videos, they're telling me how much they're working so hard to save, be it 2 or 3 thousand rand a month to actually get to the goal. And I'm like, it takes quite a lot of sacrifice. Like you actually end up not even doing your nails anymore because with what money? You know what I mean? Yeah, it's really tough, but we have to keep going to actually see this through, right? So yeah, so get multiple quotes before committing to anyone. More than anything, see their work that they have actually done with your own eyes. That helps. So the other thing is to kind of try to prepare as much as you can before you actually even undertake the building process. Just try to prepare as much as you can. Literally, it's like open the whole can and try to see what's inside, because hidden costs can really swallow you if you don't plan properly, right? If you're kind of naive about what this whole process can be like, then it will be very easy for you to make mistakes that you could have easily avoided, like hiring someone who you didn't actually reference properly. Do you know what I mean? Or even getting land in an area that you didn't check enough times to see that it's a problem in terms of like soil, or even in the rainy season that place is inhabitable. So those are the things that I mean when I say plan properly. I'm not saying you're going to do it perfectly, and neither am I, but it's something that you can try to actually do carefully, at least. Mm. So imagine this, right? So if you, for instance, build one room, this may not work for Ishibile right now. Maybe you build one room, like open plan, one kitchen, and you're done and you move in. Would that be something that works for you? Other than Rishabile, of course, would that would be something that works for you? Would you be okay with that kind of scenario where you just build something, a little apartment, and then you move in and then you extend little by little every, I don't know how often, you know what I mean? Would you be okay with something like that? Because it doesn't always work for all of us. Not all of us want to build in phases. Not all of us want to build a back room or, you know, or a boys' room at the back of our house before we actually start building the main house, right? Not all of us want to do that. I, for one, know for a fact I don't have a back room on my floor plan at all. I just have the house and that's it, you know? So how I would actually go about building my house in phases is something I am still laying out. And that is because the house itself cannot be taken apart in little pieces. And so I might end up taking Reshabile's approach and actually saving to build up to roof, habitable house level, and move in and then finish the rest of it as I go along. So Umpa just shared that the building in phases where you build, you know, a small section and then move on to the next one is the route that they're taking. Umpa says, at the rate that I'm saving, it's going to take a while to complete the whole house, which I also understand and respect. Yeah, it might take, and you know, with that also, life keeps moving, right? It goes on, it moves. Before you know it, it's 10 years, like my family home, right? Before you know it, it's 10 years, and you think, oh, I could have actually done something by now, which could be a regret you have if, you know, you're not particularly saving aggressively. We're not all saving like the same amount of money, which I understand, right? So um, saving the way that Mpo is saving, it makes sense for them to build in stages and phases, and I respect that. Yeah, I do. So that's really smart of you to actually do that. You know, really, really smart. I know a couple who actually, not far from my family home, actually built a home. Okay, these double-story homes today, you know, while living in actually like a four-room shack, you know. For a while, they weren't really progressing much on the outside. At least for people watching, they weren't progressing much on their home, but they were still patiently living in that shack, but never not living in the other home that they were still building. It wasn't really livable yet, right? And then, you know, suddenly one year, which was 2 years ago, 2 years ago was 2023, they finally managed to finish their home and actually move in, right? So you can see just by that example in my family village that approaches are not the same. We go about it in different ways, and that then explains your situation where you are in your life, and that doesn't mean it's wrong. It means it works for you, right? Yeah. So if you build one room, this could be something that happens for someone else, that you build one room and you sleep in your own house in peace, knowing that no rent is due at the end of the month, no one is calling you, no one is going to evict you. that freedom gives you a lot of peace, So you get the peace in the one room with a kitchen, and it's enough for you. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, it's enough for you. So build in phases if that is what works for you. Save aggressively if that's what works for you, which is what I'm currently doing, saving aggressively. I can't even do my nails right now. I can't do anything other than save, save, save. But I'm confident that it will be worth it. It will be. Um Miss Tosh just shared that try joining a stokvel as well, or masiholisane to help save aggressively. Okay. Yes. Okay. I'm kind of like the introvert who never really joins stuff. Am I funny? Am I funny? Am I the only one who doesn't join stuff? But Tamudime, am I the only one? Miss Tosh, how has it helped you though? How has it helped you from like how has it been different from like saving in your own fixed account? Please just, open my eyes in that way that, how has it helped you? I'd really love to know. I wish you could come on live and actually chat with me about this particular strategy of joining a stokvel or Mas Holy Sun to save aggressively. Right. So I'm just going to drop the link again in the comments. If you really know how this works and you know that it's better than saving, I don't know, 5, 10,000 rand in your own account, please let me know. I'm open to that. Mm. So she said, okay, so I'm not the only one. Yes, of course you can come on live. Please come on live. You can use the link just click on it. Yeah. She says you don't have to join the one, you have to meet people. Okay. Hey. Hi, night guys. I'm shy. I don't know. I don't like the society. No, I'm a grown woman, but I'm just not. I haven't lost my introverted ways. I'm sorry. So yeah, just click on the thing. What's it called? The link, right? Let me copy it again and actually. Oh, here she is. You can turn off your camera. You don't have to turn it off at all.
I'm
We are
currently
audio
looking at
people.
it.
We
Can
listen
you
and
hear
we
me?
drive. We listen and we fold laundry. We listen and we feed kids.
Hi, can
Yeah,
you hear me?
life doesn't stop. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Can you hear me?
Perfectly. I can hear you perfectly.
Okay, thank you so much. First and foremost, congratulations on buying land. I've just started following your journey, and
Mm-hmm.
I think at the end the results you want are going to be amazing. So just keep pushing, and you're going to get there.
Thank
So a
you.
quick one on the saving part, yeah? So
Mm,
I've been with a group of ladies for I joined them through a friend. I think this is my third year now.
okay.
I don't have to meet with them. We're all in a WhatsApp group. I've also had like my sister join them through me, so she's not physically in the group or she's not joined the group. When it's
Mm,
her turn to get the money, I just send her bank details and everybody does the needful. So basically,
mm,
what I find, ne, I do save on my own, but what I find
mhm.
is that having that responsibility to have to pay someone, you
Mm,
don't then make up some excuses. So, like, what I find with my own savings in my account where I transfer into savings, there are months where I'm just like, oh no, this month it's a bit tight. I'm not
yeah.
going to save, I'm going to do it next month, and so forth. But what I find, the one that I do through the ladies group, is that, for example, if I know um, uh, the figures are an example. If I know in 1 year I want to save 50K,
Yes.
through them I save 30K, and then on my own I commit to that 20. So by the end of the year, if I've saved 55K, I've achieved and exceeded my goal. And
Mm-hmm.
if I save 50, I've reached my goal. But I just basically find that when I do it through the group, I
Mm.
have that responsibility. And then when I get my lump sum, I put it directly into my savings, and then
Yes.
I get my interest for the rest of the year. Sometimes I know there
Yeah.
was a year where I wanted to do something, so I chose a month where I knew that I will need that lump sum to do a certain thing. So let's say, for example, you've already started building, and you know in the month of August you want to purchase, for example, doors, and your
Mm.
estimated amount is X amount. So basically,
Yeah.
while you continue building with the money that you have saved and from your salary, you know that in August you've already got an X amount that's guaranteed to just basically make that purchase. I don't know if I'm making sense.
Mm. It's
So,
making perfect sense. I just have one question though.
yep,
You know how you said you're able to hold yourself accountable because you have someone to pay?
right.
How are people doing the same thing for you? How sure are you that they will then hold themselves accountable and pay you?
So this group has been around for many years before I joined, and they're not a Stockville group. They're pretty much a Masholisane group. They've tried to look like they've talked about like maybe doing things that are much more bigger and so forth. But what happens is every beginning of the year, we basically finalize the list on who's getting money and on in which month. So if you're new, you basically don't get the priority to put first dibs on months, right?
Okay.
And then there's a set date. So for every month, payment must be made by the last day. So this year, for example, the rule is from the 26th, the person who's receiving the money must share their bank details. So payment needs to come in within those days. We've not had people not pay, but there
Okay.
was a time where someone was late, where they were late by the last day they paid in the evening, and it wasn't an immediate payment, so the person ended up getting the money the next day.
Yeah.
But they're quite yeah. And another thing about the group, they're not my age mates. They're quite mature, and because they've been doing this for
Mature.
long, and yes, and what I like about them is that every time when it's end of the year, they ask who's returning, and a few of the ones that I knew, some of them don't return. But what happens is
Mm.
some people have obligations, so they choose not to return. But what I like about them is that they're quite disciplined, and we've not had any issues. Um,
Yes.
and I've been able to recruit a sister of mine, and I've been able to recruit a friend. And when I basically go to the group now, also when I recruit somebody, it's very crucial that I'm sure that the person is not gonna back out, or or be
Hey,
funny
hey,
and
hey, hey, hey. Yeah.
there's that. So when somebody does want to join, I do let them know. Look,
Mm.
you're pretty much coming into the group via my name, so you need to
Okay.
be sure. And do you want to be active so that I can share your number to be in the WhatsApp group or not? And then once the group is finalized, I share with them the name of the list of names. And then every month someone's turn, I just basically forward the bank details. They pay, they forward the POP, and I send it through to the group.
Hey, Nagatab.
I know, and there are groups that have. There was a time where I once joined a Stockville group that apparently had been going on for a while. My lord, I was not happy at the end with results.
Nagatab.
So with the Masholisane group, I just like that if I know I have something that's a lump sum that will require a lump sum by
Mm.
this month, I'm basically able to do that.
But
And
you, mm.
sorry, no, go on.
Yes, but you're also saving like outside of the Masholisane, right? You're saving
Yes.
on your
So I
own.
basically just I divide my savings as in this is my long term savings. This is saving towards this. This is savings towards that. So for example, I went back to school, and
Mm.
then with the Maspolisane, it was for school fees, so that I know that I can pay my lump sum beginning of the year.
So how
So
do you
in the
commit to
year,
go to that account where you save for yourself without the stock fail? How do you commit to that one?
So I've got two. One, I do the automatic transfer. So it's basically set every month.
Yeah.
End of
Mm.
the month, it's an automatic transfer. And then with the other one, after I've paid all my bills, I see how much it is that I've got left, and I just basically pay towards that account.
No,
Because
I definitely second the automation part. It's good to have a debit order. It's something I firmly believe in. If it's not automated, it's not consistent. Those are my words.
exactly.
You
And
know.
what another little
Yeah,
trick
it's
that
stuff
I've
fearless and
learned.
I guess I'm sorry, Tom. Yo.
Yes. So another little trick that I've just recently basically started using is that I bank with the Green Bank, and
Mm,
basically I so towards my savings I've from my settings I've removed the savings for me to see when I access my account.
okay.
Do you know? So that I'm just not enticed that oh my gosh I've saved so much money, can I just borrow a 2,000 yen? So what I
Yeah,
basically,
true. Those things
out of
happen. Yeah.
sight, out of
Out
mind,
of mind. Yeah.
the transfer still happens every month.
Absolutely. But I also think that, the biggest motivator in all of this is your why. Like if you don't have a driving force
True,
for why you're doing this, it's pointless.
true. And also to have an account where you can't easily access. You see those 32 days accounts, they help.
They do, they
Um
help. I use one myself.
yes. And then there's also the one where I think it's every year you can withdraw at the end of the year. So you have a whole year to save.
Mm. No, absolutely. Do you perhaps use the cash build card if you're maybe on the journey of building a home yourself?
No. So I'm still currently looking for land,
Okay.
and I'm currently saving towards that. And
Okay.
I like your route, but it might not work for me because one, I'm not home at the moment. So what I'm going to basically do is I'll just basically have my lump sum, and then when it's time for
We
that
just kind
journey,
of had the audio mess up for a second. We couldn't even hear what you said. I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
okay, so I haven't acquired land yet. I'm
Mm.
basically saving towards that. But the plan is so I've got like a little savings account where it's like towards land. And
Okay.
then there's another one for building, I call it renovations.
Mm.
So once I've found something and I've gone through the plan and I have an estimate and so forth, I'll probably be somewhere. I'll probably have like a 30% yana or 20% yana saved for it.
Yes. But if you're
But
comfortable
the
sharing, what size home are you looking to build?
um yeah, ne. So that's another thing. I'd like something that's like a 3 bedroom,
Okay.
but very like modern in a sense that it's got like a scalarinyana, the kitchen, not a huge size.
Kitty
Because
walk-in
another thing
closet.
is that
No?
no, but another thing is that as much as you get a lot of land in the rural areas and you can
Mm-hmm.
build and you have the freedom to do whatever, I think what other people overlook is the fact that after 5 years, the house starts needing upkeep. And I think that's where it gets hard. So
Yes,
something
definitely
new and
houses need
shiny,
maintenance.
exactly. So something new and shiny is very nice until
Mm.
maintenance starts coming up, the painting, the redoing of this, the fixing of that, and also when the with weather conditions, right? It
Yeah,
rains, what
yeah, it
there's all
weathers
of those
down the
things.
house.
Yeah, so something cute nyana, 3 bedroom nyana, nothing too big.
Do
You
you have
saying
any
also
idea of in terms of like square meters, how big the size would be?
no, I haven't thought that far.
Okay. Okay, because it really it matters so much that the square meters for the whole house really talks to how
Mm.
big the roof will be, how expensive that roof will be, how big that foundation will be, how expensive that foundation will be. So those two elements, just keep them in the back of your mind. Already, foundation and roofing are going to be the bulls I have to hold by the horns.
Okay, there's
Yeah.
something that I've watched. There's a gentleman who's building, I think he's building out in Bumalanga, and then
Mm-hmm.
there's a gentleman who's building somewhere in KZN. And through them, I've seen like a cheat code, if you will, to the roof.
Okay.
So
Please share it. What is
basically,
it?
they've not used tiles, they've used the what do you call it, Nana? Kana, oh, ah, man, the sheets.
Metal
It's
sheets? What sort
yes,
of sheets?
the metal sheets, right? But apparently it's the good quality ones. So
Okay.
when you use them, once you put them up on the roof, then inside the house, the gentleman who's building in Pumalanga, he started putting they've started putting, well, they finished now, but they put something like cotton wool. It's like cotton wool. I'm sure there's
Insulation.
probably, yes. And
Mm-hmm.
then they do the ceiling. So my
Yes.
understanding is that that will just basically filter out the sound, one,
And the
and
cold as
probably,
well.
yes, exactly. So apparently that's much more cost effective than using tiles.
Okay.
And I've seen in a lot of houses, when you drive out to Howick in KZN, a lot of the old houses that were built, well, there's the white people that were living there, but a lot of the old houses that were built also had the very
The
much same concept.
insulation.
Yeah, so afterwards they paint it, they paint the roof. It's either it's black or it's red.
Mm. But do you have any anxieties about whether your savings will be enough to finish your house once you start the process?
Of course, because also another thing is that I don't want to stop and go, stop and go. I'd like
Okay,
it to
like
be like
Rishabile.
pretty much,
Okay.
yes, that's what I want. And also, this is just my preference. I've had a neighbor growing up. I remember they were building a double-story house. They built a very beautiful house,
Mm.
but I tell you now, it took them more than 10
Hey,
years.
this audio distortion is getting to us. We miss some parts of what you're saying, and just repeat
Excuse.
for us one more time, ma'am.
So I was saying that growing up, I had neighbors who were building a double-story house. They built a very beautiful, big double-story house.
Yes.
Um, they didn't end up being a big family. They were a family of four,
Okay.
and they were living outside a windy house. So
Mm.
once the house was done, so the structure was completed, the roofing was pending, in the windows and the so forth. They basically moved into the garage, but
Wow.
it took them 10 years.
How long?
10 years.
10 years. Mm.
Yes, it took them 10 years to
Yeah,
basically
no,
be done.
it's mm.
So yeah,
Yeah,
I
there's,
think
there's no formula to this, right?
there really
Yeah,
isn't a formula, and
there really
especially if you're on your own, and the income part also plays a role. Do you have multiple streams of income, or do what?
mm.
There's also that to consider, and along the way things are going to happen as well.
Yeah, they
So
are. I was just saying that, as parents, it's one of those things that you just have to concede. But kids are expensive, and they need things that you didn't even plan for sometimes, and you might end up taking money out of that. And would you then ask yourself, maybe I should have built a two-room, and then I would have, extended a little bit more as the years go on, like Mpho for one, who is building in phases, right?
mhm.
Mm. So yeah, the approach is definitely different for everyone. But thank you so much for sharing about the stock fail. I don't know. But Naina, I'm shy and introverted like that when it comes to giving over money. That's because I've been scammed before. You remember Triple M?
Yeah. Oh no. I no, no, no. So I
I have a
definitely
wound,
them
and
before. Yeah.
it hasn't healed, so I can't give anyone.
I think if you do find one, there's gonna be things that you need to look for. So your goal is to save, because some of them are very much social, where people meet on a monthly basis.
Mm-mm,
That's not what you're looking for. Your goal is
not at
to
all.
save.
Yes,
So
my
it
goal
would be
is
nice,
purely to
exactly.
save.
Yes, it would be nice to find one that has been around for a very long time, and there's rules in writing, and the communication is also clear. And when it makes sense to you, you join it. But other than that, don't join it out of the sake of joining.
Oh,
Because for me,
absolutely. Yeah.
I was quite reluctant, and but because my friend had been with the same ladies for quite a number of years.
But have you had a bad experience with this kind of thing, with the Stokvel Masholisani thing?
it was the only stokvel that I joined, and the guy was quite popular on social media as well. So
Mm-hmm.
I joined, and it just didn't make sense along the way. So the requirement was, oh, you need to recruit or borrow money in order for the
It sounds
stokvel
like
to
a
make.
pyramid scheme.
So basically, at the end, so for example, I was putting in 2,500, but if you times that by 12, that's not what I got back. I got back less than that, and I was just like,
I mean,
this
that's a
defeats the
risk. Yeah, that's a risk.
yes, that
Yeah.
defeats the goal of saving. So
That's a risk.
for the saving, so I was like,
Mm.
yeah, not again. So then after 3 years, then I joined this one, and I'm happy.
Okay, that's perfect. Thanks so much for sharing that.
You
I really appreciate it. Update us as you go along the journey. Keep coming back to the live if you have time. I go live every weekend to kind of
nice.
have a chat with other future home builders and kind of support each other on this journey. So, whenever you have an update, you can come back on and share where you are as well.
Okay, thank you so much for inviting
Thanks
me.
so, so much. Okay.
Thanks.
All right. So, I really appreciate Miss Intosh for coming on. If you also want to come on and share your sentiment about how to actually get to a place where you secure yourself enough to finish your home, you can kind of, you know, join the live with the link in the comments. I'm happy to have a chat with you. All right. So we are at an hour, 6 minutes. I'd really love to hear from you. If you have, anything to share, I'm so grateful that you joined this live today. So I'm just gonna give maybe 4, 5 minutes and until the end of the live. So yeah, those are the different approaches that people take, to actually be able to get to a place of finishing their homes and getting to a place where their dreams are finally a reality. So it may be saving aggressively and then starting, or even starting where you are and then building in phases. Each of those methods work either way, and yours is not bad in a sense. It will get you there. You just have to be patient, right? So let's see. Okay. Yeah, you just have to be patient. That's what this journey actually requires of us. It really tests your patience more than anything. It tests your patience and your resilience and your ability to stay the course. Otherwise, you will give up and end up with no money and no house. And that itself is even worse off than when you started, right? So, yeah, you don't have to have all the answers. We're learning together, just like I said, that I come on these lives every weekend to chat with people who are also walking the same journey that I am, right? So I just want you to remember this. You are not behind, right? So even if you're asking yourself that question, you're not behind. You're not crazy for taking it slow. You're not crazy for saying, I want to save first and then build. None of it is bad. It all works, right? So you're not failing because you have this anxiety about it. You're not. You're building wisely. You may not be building in the physical sense yet, but you're building wisely and you're moving with intention. Hold that very close, knowing that every step you take is a victory. Every 2,500 you save, every 500 you save, every 10,000 rand you save is a victory in itself, right? So if you ever need a gentle reminder that you're not walking this journey alone, just know that every Saturday we meet here, we dive into the technical side, we go into buying land, saving strategies, foundations, hey, budgeting, materials, we unpack it all, right? And every Sunday, THUSANG is here to hold the emotional side, to hold the dreams, the doubts, the dilemmas, and all of our hopes that we have as future home builders, as parents who are looking to build homes for their children. This is that space. I hope you feel comfortable to stay on and share and even learn from others if yeah. So you don't have to have it all figured out. you just have to keep showing up. That's my sentiment. You just have to keep showing up, right? Yeah, so thanks really for being here today. Thank you for coming on the live and sharing in the comments and also speaking with me as well. I'm really, really grateful. You're a part of a community that walks with you. This is what it's really all about. So, ke a leboga. I just want you to know that you are not you're not behind. You're not behind at all. This is the message I tell myself every day. You're not behind. Okay. So this is where I'm going to close the live. So please have a good week. Stay strong. God bless you. And we'll chat next weekend again. All right. Thank you. Bye.